about levelling up.
Prime Minister. Question. Far too long. The Prime Minister must have got
Will you therefore commit?
Mr. Speaker, first of all, let me join with the Honourable Lady as a Southampton fan. Gareth Bale, also a hero of mine as well, and I wish him well. But when it comes to funding Wales, it's as a result of the funding from Barnet that the Welsh Government receives around significantly more funding than the NHS in England, but also £1.2 billion of extra funding as a result of the autumn statement. And what I said to the Leader of the Opposition, this isn't about actually political point scoring. The NHS is under pressure in Wales, as it is in Scotland and in England, in large part because...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, unlike parties opposite, including the Scottish National Party and even the member for Aberdeen South, I know my right honourable friend supports or recognises the critical role that oil and gas companies and their employees critically have in not only providing energy security but also the delivery of the energy transition to net zero. Can he therefore confirm that this government's ongoing commitment to expanding on our carbon capture, utilisation and storage capacity, including the Acorn project in St Fergus in my constituency, and can he provide an update on the Track 2 sequencing?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, my honourable friend is a fantastic champion and campaigner for this project. We will invest up to £1 billion to establish carbon capture and storage in 4 industrial clusters by 2030. We very much recognise the benefits of the Scottish cluster and the role it could play in decarbonisation, and we're progressing our track through, and we'll set out further details in due course.
Davis Jones.
Mr. Speaker, the Times recently reported that schools across the UK are in crisis as the effects of online influencer Andrew Tate's vile misogyny infiltrates our classrooms and society. Teachers are now having to develop their own resources to re-educate boys who are being brainwashed online by his deeply toxic messaging. The Prime Minister has been too slow to recognise this damage this is causing. What has he done? What is his government doing to tackle this misogyny, this incel culture and the radicalisation of young men in this country? And will he commit to giving teachers the resources that they need to address this problem head-on?
Mr. Speaker, with regard to funding, we announced in the autumn statement £2 billion of extra funding.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Building a Brighter Future project at Torbay Hospital will be the biggest single investment in South Devon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Labour-controlled Bradford Council continue...
The Labour Council, my honourable friend, is a fantastic champion for his constituents in Bingley. As I have told him previously, I can't comment on individual bids, but I wish him...
40,000 interactions by either social media, email or letter regarding the poor customer service and working conditions at the delivery company Every warrants an investigation by the relevant government department. His ministers in Bays think not. But I'm sure the Prime Minister...
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm aware that other government ministers have looked into this issue and are currently considering the matter at hand, and I'd be happy to write to her when we learn more about the situation.
The Bruce.
Speaker, does the Prime Minister agree that the right way to secure the best future for the British people is to deliver on the people's priorities and secure a strong economy, which would rack up billions of debt, as the party opposite have done in the last week?
My honourable friend is absolutely right. If we want to safeguard the future of our public services and make sure that our young people inherit a strong economy, we must be disciplined on spending and borrowing. She's absolutely right about no unfunded spending commitments, unlike, as she said...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Less than half of Wakefield's children managed to see an NHS dentist last year. My constituent, Mr.
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm very sorry to hear about the case raised by the honourable gentleman. I'm happy to look into that specific one more closely, but as I...
Scotland's oil and gas industry supports 90,000 Scottish jobs, but yesterday Nicola Sturgeon's SNP government published plans calling for as fast as possible shutdown of the industry and an end to new exploration. These plans by the SNP's oil and gas workers and the future of our industry.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, honourable friend is absolutely right. We know that we will have to rely on hydrocarbons for decades to come as we transition to net zero, and consuming oil and gas obviously makes sense to do it here and in the process support tens of thousands of jobs in Scotland, so I can reassure him that the Scottish oil and gas industry has this government's wholehearted support.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Tory crisis in the NHS includes ophthalmology, the largest and busiest
in Hong Kong will be taken away.
Well, renewed engagement on this critical issue. He knows the actions we have already taken with regard.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Half of British women and a fifth of men have been sexually harassed at work or a place of study. The government's own figures show that 41 of those said their perpetrators faced no consequences. Thanks to cross-party and government support, my private member's bill, which has now passed committee stage, will bring about a culture change to protect workers from harassment and sexual harassment, both from fellow employees and third-party individuals. Will the Prime Minister join me in celebrating the cross-party...
Does the anti-vax conspiracy theories that have been promulgated online this morning are not only deeply offensive, but anti-scientific and have no place in this House or in our wider society?